You do know he's nothing without his wife, right? Mara blinked once, then her mouth curved into a little grin, like I'd told a harmless joke, like I was the sweet husband playing along with her big, important career. Evan, she said, dragging my name out. What is that supposed to mean? It means what it means, I said. She exhaled through her nose, annoyed. Can we not do this on Christmas? I looked at her coat, still on. Sure, eat something. I saved you a plate. I'm not hungry, she said too fast. Her phone was in her hand. She checked the screen without unlocking it. Then, like it burned, she flipped it face down on the console table. That was the first time in years I'd seen her put her phone down like that. Face down meant hiding. Face down meant there were lights she didn't want me to see. She walked past me, brushing my shoulder like I was furniture, and headed for the bathroom. The house was quiet, except for the dishwasher and the wind pushing at the eaves. I stood there, listening to the water run, and tried to tell myself I was overthinking it. Then my doorbell camera chimed. A notification popped on my screen. Motion detected. I opened the app and watched our porch in grainy night vision. Headlights washed the driveway. A dark sedan idled at the curb, engine running. Not Mara's car, not mine. The driver never got out. The car sat there for 8 seconds, 10, 15, long enough to be seen, long enough to be known. Then it pulled away, tail lights smearing red across the snow. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I zoomed in on the license plate, but the glare ate the numbers. Still, I knew the shape of that car. I'd seen it too many times in the company lot. Grant. In the bathroom, the faucet shut off. Mara came out with her hair damp at the edges, smelling like her cherry soap, and she said, "I'm going to bed." "Okay," I said. She paused at the hall. "You're being weird." I smiled. "I'm being tired." She hesitated like she wanted to test me, then disappeared into the bedroom and shut the door. Not slammed, not soft either, just final. I didn't follow. I went to the kitchen, poured myself a glass of water, and opened the laptop I used for bills. On the screen was the login for our phone account. Shared. My name. Her name. A normal thing married people had. A normal thing no one thought about until normal stopped. My fingers moved without drama. Password. 2-factor code. Click. A list of calls appeared. Dates. Times. Durations. One number kept showing up again and again, always after dark, always with long minutes attached, always after she'd texted me, working late, "Don't wait up." The number wasn't saved under a contact name, but next to it, in the carrier's little line of data, was a location tag, and the tag wasn't a name. It was a building. The next morning, Mara acted like a woman who'd slept well. She kissed my cheek like it was part of the holiday schedule. She hummed while she made coffee. She wore the soft sweater I'd bought her 2 winters ago, the one she used to call Evan's favorite. I watched her like I was watching a stranger use my life. On my phone, the doorbell clip looped. Dark sedan, 8 seconds, leave, no proof, just a shadow with an engine. Mara poured coffee into her travel mug. "I'm going in for a bit," she said. "On Christmas Day?" I asked. She gave me the look, the one that said, "Don't be small." "Not everyone has your cozy little job," she said. "Some of us have responsibilities." My cozy little job was compliance operations. I made sure the company didn't do stupid things that got it sued. I didn't wear suits. I didn't sit in boardrooms. But I knew where the bodies were buried. Metaphorically, anyway. I knew policies. I knew logs. I knew how people got caught. Mara grabbed her keys. Her phone went into her pocket face up. I waited until her car backed out and the garage door shut. Then I sat down and opened the phone account again. I didn't hack anything. I didn't break into her email. I didn't do the illegal movie stuff where a man in a hoodie types fast and unlocks the world. I just looked at what we already paid for. Call after call. Same number, same building tag. I copied the data into a spreadsheet. Dates, times, durations. I printed it at the home printer, the paper warm in my hands like it was alive. The ink smelled sharp. It smelled like truth. Then I did something I never thought I'd do on Christmas. I called Cal Brooks. Cal answered on the second ring. "If this is about fixing your thermostat again, I'm already drinking," he said. "It's not the thermostat," I said. Pause. "Then it's bad." We'd been friends since community college, back when we both thought we'd be something else. Cal bounced between jobs for years, then found his groove doing towing and locksmith work, the kind of work that put him close to other people's emergencies. "I need you to meet me," I said. "Today?" he asked. "Yeah." A half laugh. "Merry Christmas, buddy. Where?" We met at a diner off the highway, one of those places with cracked vinyl booths and a waitress who called everybody honey, like she owned them. Cal slid into the booth across from me. He looked at my face and stopped smiling. "What happened?" he asked. I slid the printed call log across the table. Cal's eyes moved left to right. His jaw tightened. "That's a lot of late nights." "Yeah." "You sure this isn't some work number?" he asked, still trying to be fair. I tapped the location tag. "It's the Lexington Tower. Their executive suites." Cal let out a slow breath. "Jesus." I didn't say Jesus. I stirred my coffee. My hands were steady. That scared me more than anger would have. Cal leaned back. "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to be a calendar," I said. He stared at me. "That sounds like something I'd say." "You did say it," I told him. 10 minutes ago, in my head. Cal's mouth twitched. "Okay, so what does that mean? You're gathering dates?" "Dates, witnesses, patterns, and I'm not doing anything illegal." Cal nodded once, approving. "Good, because the second you do something stupid, you become the story instead of her." There it was. The truth nobody wants. Mara didn't have to be innocent to win. She just had to be smarter than me in public. Back home, I watched her social media without interacting. Her girls group posted a photo in matching holiday pajamas. Mara wasn't in it. Caption, "Missing our workaholic queen." Workaholic queen, right. That evening, Mara came home with red cheeks and bright eyes. She sat close on the couch and rested her head on my shoulder like she used to. "Thank you for being patient," she murmured. Her fingers traced my arm. "It's just a stressful season. Grant's been intense." There it was again. Grant, like she couldn't help saying his name. "You should take a bath," she said. "Relax." Love bombing. Butter on toast after setting the kitchen on fire. I kissed her forehead, gentle. "I'm okay." Her phone buzzed. She reached for it fast, too fast. She read something. Her face tightened. Then she smiled at me like nothing happened. "I'm going to change," she said, and walked to the bedroom. 2 minutes later, my phone buzzed. "Unknown number. Stop digging. You don't know who you're dealing with." I stared at it until the screen dimmed. Then I typed back with my thumbs. "That's funny." I was about to say the same thing. On December 21st, our city looked like a postcard somebody had spilled salt on. Dirty snowbanks. Gray sky. The kind of winter that made you feel like the sun had moved away on purpose. Mara told me there was a company holiday party at Grant's house. "Everyone's expected," she said. "It's networking." "Do I have to go?" I asked. She gave me a tight smile. "You're my husband." "Yes." Grant's neighborhood sat on a hill above town, all glass and stone and tasteful lights. The kind of place where the driveways were heated and the trees were wrapped in white bulbs that didn't blink because blinking was too human. Inside, the air smelled like money, pine, wine, and someone else's perfume. Grant Crowley moved through the room like he owned time. He shook hands, hugged too close, laughed too loud. His wife, Vivian, stood near the kitchen island in a simple black dress, like she was a statue someone had paid to ignore the chaos. Vivian Crowley wasn't beautiful in a loud way. She was the kind of attractive that made you lower your voice without knowing why. Mara latched onto Grant the second she got the chance, laughing at his jokes with her whole face. I watched him touch her elbow when he spoke, guiding her like she was a prize he'd won. Rich people don't whisper. They invest in silence. I drifted toward the backyard doors where the glass reflected the party like a second world. Someone had a phone out, recording Grant giving a toast about family and loyalty. I almost laughed. Grant spotted me across the room and made his way over, a drink in his hand. His smile widened when he got close, not friendly, sharp. "Evan," he said, loud enough for a few nearby heads to turn. "My man, how's home life? Mara tells me you've been stressed." Mara's eyes flicked toward me, warning. "Don't." Grant leaned in, the smell of bourbon on his breath. "You know," he said, still loud, "some men can't handle a successful wife. They get insecure. They start seeing things." I felt heat behind my eyes. Not rage, something colder. Calculation. "You seem to be seeing plenty," I said. A few people chuckled, uncertain if it was a joke. Grant's smile didn't change, but his eyes hardened. He stepped closer, shoulder to shoulder, like we were buddies. His fingers slid to the front of my sweater and pinched the fabric near my collar. "Careful," he said, too soft for the room but too hard for my nerves. For a second, all I could hear was the party noise fading, like my ears were closing doors. His hand on my collar made my stomach twist. I didn't punch him. I didn't spill his drink. I didn't scream. I took his wrist and pushed it away. One firm motion, a shove more than a strike, enough to break contact. His drink sloshed, a few drops hitting his shirt. "Oh," Grant said, loud again. "Look at that. The quiet guy has teeth." Phones came up like flowers opening. Mara stepped between us, smiling too wide. Okay, she said, laugh brittle. "Boys, it's Christmas." Grant's eyes stayed on me. "Apologize," he said. "For what?" I asked. "For touching me," he said, and grinned like he'd rehearsed it, like he wanted me to look like the unstable husband. Vivian's gaze cut over from the kitchen island. She watched us like she was counting heartbeats. "I'm leaving," I said. Calm. "Mara?" Mara's face tightened. "Don't embarrass me," she hissed. Grant lifted his glass. "To loyalty," he said, and the room laughed because it was easier than thinking. As I walked out, I felt Vivian's eyes on my back. Not angry, not pitying, interested. The next morning, the internet did what it always does. It chewed. Somebody posted a clip from the party, not the moment Grant grabbed my collar, just the part where I pushed him away and his drink splashed. The caption was something like, "When your VP gets checked at his own party." In group chats, it turned into, "Evan snapped," "Evan jealous," "Evan unhinged." Mara came down the stairs with her phone in her hand, face pale. "Did you do this?" she demanded. "Post the video?" I asked. "Yes." "No," I said, "but I'm not surprised it exists." She stared at me like she'd never seen me before. "Grant is furious." "Grant should keep his hands to himself," I said. Mara's mouth opened, then closed. She looked away like she couldn't afford to look straight at the truth. At 10 a.m., my work email pinged. A meeting request from HR. Subject: Incident Review. I sat at my desk and stared at it. The company moved fast when it smelled liability. The HR director, Nina Patel, met me in a small conference room with frosted glass walls. Nina was the kind of woman who wore neutral colors and never blinked too long. She didn't smile, she didn't frown. She just assessed. "Evan," she said, "thank you for meeting on short notice." "I didn't have plans," I said. Nina folded her hands. There were multiple reports from last night's event. We're conducting a fact-finding review. Okay, I said. Before we begin, she added, this is not disciplinary, it's information gathering. I need you to be precise. I can do precise, I said. I told her the truth. I told her Grant made a comment, got in my space, put his hand on my collar. I told her I pushed his hand away to create distance. I told her people were filming. Nina nodded, taking notes. Did you strike him? She asked. No, I said. Did you threaten him? No. Nina's pen paused. Did he threaten you? He told me to be careful, I said, while holding my collar. Nina's eyes lifted to mine. Thank you. When the meeting ended, Nina said, if you have any documentation, witness names or dates relevant to ongoing concerns, you can submit them formally. Ongoing concerns. The words hung in the air like a door left open. That afternoon, my phone buzzed with an unknown number again. Stop. Last warning. I didn't reply this time. I took a screenshot and added it to my growing folder. That night, as snow started to fall again, I got a text from a name I knew. Vivian Crowley. Can we talk somewhere private? Tomorrow. Noon. Diner off Route 6. My stomach tightened. I hadn't given her my number. Mara came into the living room, hovering. Grant says HR is overreacting, she said. He's going to handle it. Grant handles things by squeezing, I said. Eventually something slips. Mara's eyes flashed. You're not as important as you think you are. I looked at her and felt something inside me shift like a gear catching. I know exactly how important I am, I said quietly. That's why I'm still standing. The diner smelled like fried onions and old coffee. Cal's kind of place, not Vivian Crowley's, but there she was, seated in a booth near the back, coat draped over the bench, hands folded like she was waiting for a deposition. She didn't stand when I approached. She just looked up. Evan Hale, she said. Thank you for coming. I slid into the booth across from her. How did you get my number? I asked. Vivian's mouth twitched. Grant's phone is on our plan, she said. It's amazing what you can see when you pay the bill. That hit me like a cold slap. The same thing I'd done. The same normal access. The same door. Vivian leaned forward slightly. Let's skip the pretending, she said. My husband is sleeping with your wife. The words landed clean. No emotion, just fact. I didn't gasp. I didn't ask her how she knew. I'd been living inside the answer for days. Vivian studied me. You're calmer than I expected. I've had time, I said. She nodded. Good. Then you can understand this. I'm not here to cry with you. I'm here to win. There was something in her eyes then, controlled fury, like a storm inside glass. I already have counsel, Vivian continued. A prenuptial agreement, a timeline, a pattern. He's done this before. Not with your wife, but with others. He likes women who are hungry. I swallowed. Mara's hunger had always been one of her best qualities, until it wasn't. Vivian slid a small envelope across the table. Inside was a plastic keycard. Don't misunderstand, she said. This isn't a break-in. It's an invitation. I own the house. I control the access schedules. My husband keeps his secrets in his home office. I want you to see what he's really protecting. I stared at the keycard. Why? I asked. Vivian's gaze didn't wobble. Because he doesn't fear consequences, she said. He fears being laughed at. I felt my pulse in my throat. What do you want from me? I asked. Vivian's voice stayed low. I want clean leverage, she said. No illegal recordings, no vandalism, no bruises, just reality, properly arranged. And me? I asked. You want your wife to understand what she traded, Vivian said. You want him to bleed reputation. I didn't like how well she understood me. Vivian tapped the table once, a small, precise sound. You work in compliance, she said. You know how to write a timeline that makes people sweat. I know how to write a timeline, I admitted. She nodded. Then write one that ends him. Outside, a plow scraped the street. A metallic scream. Vivian's eyes stayed on mine. Christmas night, she said. Your house. I want her to see it where she lied. I took the keycard and slipped it into my pocket. It felt like a decision. I didn't go to Grant's house alone. That would have been stupid. I went on a Tuesday afternoon when Vivian told me the cleaning staff would be there and Grant would be in a board call downtown. I drove up the hill with my heart beating in my ears and my hands steady on the wheel. The gate opened when I tapped the code Vivian texted. Cameras followed me. I could feel them like eyes, but Vivian's point was clear. This was her territory. Inside the house, everything was expensive and cold. The air smelled like lemon polish. A woman in a uniform nodded at me like she'd been told to expect a delivery. I didn't touch drawers. I didn't steal anything. I walked straight to the home office wing Vivian had described. The keycard worked. Grant's office was a shrine to himself, awards on the wall, photos of him shaking hands with local politicians, a framed newspaper clipping about his leadership, the kind of things a man surrounded himself with when he needed to remember he mattered. On his desk sat a leather portfolio. I didn't open it. I opened the bottom right drawer, unlocked, and found what Vivian had promised. Printed emails, gift receipts, notes in Mara's handwriting on company letterhead, a hotel reservation with Grant's name, a calendar page with dates circled, and tucked beneath it all, like the ugliest present, was a folder labeled Risk. Inside were copies of complaints, not official HR reports, drafts, notes, names, a pattern of women who'd gotten too close and then got moved, demoted, shuffled away, not fired, just erased. My stomach turned. Mara wasn't special. She was just next. I took photos of the documents where they lay. No originals, no fingerprints. Then I closed the drawer exactly how I'd found it. When I got back to my car, my phone buzzed. Cal. You okay? I typed back. I'm okay. I'm colder than okay. That night, Mara tried again. She made dinner. She poured wine. She touched my hand under the table. I hate how weird things feel, she said softly. I watched her eyes, the way they flinched when my phone lit up. Then stop making them weird, I said. Her smile faltered. What does that mean? It means you know, I said. Mara's face tightened. You're imagining things. I leaned back. Am I? Her phone buzzed. She grabbed it, glanced, and her throat bobbed. Work, she said. I have to answer. She stood, walking toward the hallway, talking in a low voice. I didn't follow. I didn't eavesdrop. I just opened my laptop and started building the timeline like it was a report I'd been born to write. Dates, calls, locations, party incident, unknown threats, documents I'd seen, witnesses. Truth has a rhythm when you line it up. It starts to sound like footsteps coming down a hall. Cal's tow yard was a patch of asphalt behind a chain-link fence, decorated with busted bumpers and the smell of oil. It wasn't pretty, but it was honest. I met him there on December 23rd, when the city was rushing toward Christmas like it was a deadline. Cal leaned against a dented truck, chewing on a toothpick. So, he said, how deep are you in this? Deep enough that I can't pretend, I said. He nodded. That's marriage for you. I told him what I needed. Not revenge with a bat. Not fireworks. Something that would scare Grant without crossing a line. Cal listened, then laughed once. Buddy, he said, you've got the cleanest vengeance plan I've ever heard. You sure you're angry? I'm precise, I said. Cal pointed toward a stack of forms. If you want someone's car gone, do it by the book, he said. Expired registration, fire lane, private property notice. People who think they're untouchable love breaking little rules. Grant loved little rules like he loved other people's wives. He thought they were for him to borrow. That night, I didn't have to hunt. Grant did the work for me. Mara told me she had a team dinner at a downtown lounge. Just an hour, she said. She wore a black dress that didn't belong to an office. She didn't put on perfume in the bathroom like she used to. She sprayed it in the car, the way women do when they don't want the scent left behind. When she left, I waited 10 minutes, then drove downtown. The lounge sat above a parking garage, lights glowing like a trap. I parked across the street and watched the entrance. Grant arrived 20 minutes later in his dark sedan and slid into a spot that clearly said, "Fire lane. No parking." He didn't care. Why would he? Rules were for other people. I sent Cal one photo of the car and the sign. Cal replied, "Merry Christmas." I watched from across the street as Grant strutted inside, confident, oblivious. He had no idea his power was about to get measured in toe straps. When Cal's truck rolled into the garage 15 minutes later, it looked like any other tow run. No drama, just steel and paperwork. Grant's sedan got hooked, lifted, taken. I stepped into the garage as the taillights disappeared down the ramp and left a note on the wet pavement where the car had been. Smile for the cameras. Merry Christmas. When Grant came back out, his confidence hit the air and bounced off emptiness. He stood there for a second, blinking at the missing space like his eyes were lying to him. Then he exploded. "Where's my car?" he shouted, turning in circles. "Where the hell is my car?" People turned. Phones came up. Somebody laughed. Somebody recognized him from the party clip. Grant stormed toward the security booth, pounding on the glass. The guard raised his hands, calm. "Sir, you were parked in a fire lane," he said. "Tows authorized." Grant's face went red. "Do you know who I am?" The guard shrugged. "Not my problem." That was the moment I saw fear crawl under Grant's skin. Not fear of losing a car, fear of being laughed at by strangers. Mara came out of the lounge then, eyes wide, cheeks flushed from warmth and lies. She saw Grant's empty spot, saw him yelling, saw the phones. "What did you do?" She hissed at me when she noticed me near the stairwell. "I didn't do anything," I said. "You parked him there." Her hand shot up toward my face. I caught her wrist gently, not a squeeze, just a stop, like stopping a child from touching a stove. Mara's eyes went sharp with hate. "Let go." I leaned in, my voice low. "You're going to watch him lose everything," I whispered. "And you're going to understand why." I released her wrist. Her hand dropped like it had turned heavy. Grant's shout echoed through the garage again, and the sound was ugly and human. On December 24th, HR moved faster than Christmas music. Nina Patel emailed me asking for a formal statement regarding the party and any related concerns. I gave her what she asked for: dates, witness names, references to publicly available video clips, and the unknown threat texts. I included nothing I'd gotten from Vivian's house. That was for Vivian's lawyers, not mine. When I hit send, I felt like I'd just pushed the first domino with a fingertip. Mara came home that afternoon, looking like she'd been running. Her hair wasn't perfect. Her lipstick was gone. Her phone was clenched in her hand like it was the only thing keeping her upright. "They put me on leave," she said, voice shaking with anger. "Administrative leave. Pending investigation." I didn't smile. I didn't celebrate. I just nodded like it was a weather report. "This is your fault," Mara said. "It's not," I said. "It's the consequence of choices." Mara's eyes filled, but it wasn't sadness. It was fury at losing control. "Grant said he'll fix it," she snapped. "He has connections." "Grant has a wife," I said. Mara flinched like the words stung. That evening, our neighborhood group chat lit up like a Christmas tree. I didn't even have to be in it to feel it. Mrs. Danner from 2 houses down came to our porch with a plate of cookies, like she was offering condolences. "I heard something happened at that fancy party," she said, eyes wide with fake sympathy. Poor you, honey. I took the plate. Thank you, I said. Mrs. Danner leaned in. People say there's video, she whispered. And that your wife, well, you know how people talk. I know, I said. She patted my arm like I was a wounded pet and waddled back to her house. Mara tried to control the narrative online that night. She posted a photo of a Christmas candle and captioned it. Sometimes the truth comes out, and the wrong people get blamed. Vivian countered an hour later without tagging anyone. A simple post on her charity committee page. Accountability matters. No names, just a dagger left on the table. At midnight, Mara started packing. She yanked drawers open, tossed sweaters into a suitcase, slammed it shut. The sound in our bedroom was like small explosions. He's choosing me, she said, breathless, eyes wild. Grant told me. He said we're going to start over. I leaned in the doorway, arms crossed, feeling like I was watching a storm from a basement window. No, I said. He's choosing an exit. Mara's head snapped toward me. You don't know anything. My smart lock app pinged on my phone. Grant's front gate opened. And the user listed wasn't Grant. It was Vivian. Christmas night came with a silence that felt staged. Mara didn't go to her parents. She didn't call her friends. She stayed in our house like she was hiding in plain sight, scrolling her phone with the brightness low, her thumb moving like a metronome. Grant was supposed to handle things, but all I'd seen all day were frantic texts between them. He wasn't handling. He was unraveling. Around 6 p.m., I put on a pot of chili like it was a normal holiday. The smell filled the kitchen, rich and steady, comfort on purpose. Mara watched me from the table. Why are you cooking? She asked, suspicious. Because we're home, I said. Because it's Christmas. She stared at me like she didn't understand why I wasn't yelling. That was the thing about rage. It makes people expect noise. Silence scares them more. At 7:30, I texted Mara. Let's talk. Like adults. No drama, just clear the air. She read it and looked up at me. Why are you texting me? She snapped. Because I want it in writing, I said. Mara's mouth opened, then closed. She didn't answer. She just nodded once, stiff. At 8, I texted again. If there's something going on with Grant, bring him. I want it out in the open. Mara blinked. Are you serious? Yes, I said. If he's so important, let him speak. Mara's eyes narrowed. She typed on her phone, fingers flying. Fine, she said. Fine, let him come. Let him see how crazy you've been acting. At 9:14, the doorbell camera pinged. A dark sedan rolled into our driveway. Grant. I watched the feed on my phone while standing in my own living room. The porch light washed his face pale. He looked smaller than he did in his house. He looked like a man who'd stepped into the wrong story. Mara opened the door before I could. Grant, she breathed, like she'd been starving. Grant stepped inside, eyes flicking over the room, the tree, the stockings. He swallowed, forcing a smile. Evan, he said. Merry Christmas. Come in, I said. Let's talk. Grant's gaze darted. He wasn't used to being invited to a place without control. We sat in the living room like it was a meeting. Mara on the couch, Grant on the chair, me across from them, coffee table between us like a boundary. Grant cleared his throat. This has gotten messy, he said. Mara told you I was stressed, I said. She didn't tell you why. Grant tried to laugh. It came out hollow. I think we all need to calm down, he said. I am calm, I said. That's why you're here. Mara leaned forward, eyes bright. Tell him, she demanded Grant. Tell him you're not going to let HR ruin us. Grant's jaw tightened at the word us. His eyes flicked away like he didn't want to look at that shape. Grant, I said, did you put your hand on my collar at your party? Grant blinked. What? Answer, I said. Mara scoffed. "Oh my God." Grant set his glass down, too careful. "I don't recall," he said. "You do," I said. Grant's voice sharpened. "Listen, Evan." My phone buzzed in my pocket. Front door unlocked. Not by Mara, not by me, by a code I'd added earlier that day. Vivian's. Grant heard the soft click of the lock and froze. Mara turned her head. "Who's that?" she asked. I stood slowly. "The last person either of you expected," I said. Footsteps crossed the entryway, calm, measured, not rushed, not furious. Vivian Crowley walked into my living room like she owned the air. Grant's face went white. Mara's mouth fell open. Vivian's gaze passed over Mara, then settled on Grant. Her voice was almost gentle. "Hello, darling," she said. For a second, nobody moved. The tree lights blinked. The only sound was the heat kicking on, the house doing its normal job while our lives cracked open. Mara stood up so fast her knees hit the coffee table. "What is she doing here?" she demanded, voice high. Vivian looked at her like she was looking at a stain she'd already decided to remove. "I'm here because my husband has been careless," she said. "And because you've been pretending you're the only one who can lie." Grant found his voice. "Vivian," he said, strained, "this is not the time." Vivian smiled. "It's exactly the time." Mara's eyes darted to me. "Evan, what is this?" she said, shaky. "Did you call her?" "I didn't have to," I said. "She's smarter than both of us." Grant stood, anger flickering through his fear. "This is insane," he snapped. "Evan, you can't—" I held up a folder. Thick, printed, neat. Grant's eyes locked on it like it was a weapon. "What's that?" he asked. "A timeline," I said. "Dates, witnesses, HR ticket number, your pattern." Mara's face went pale. "You reported this?" she whispered. "I reported what happened to me," I said. "And I reported the threats." Vivian stepped closer to Grant, slow. "He didn't even need the worst of it," she murmured. "That's the funny part." Grant's hands clenched. "You're trying to ruin me," he said. Vivian's eyes stayed calm. "No," she said. "You ruined you. We're just pricing you accurately." Mara stared at Vivian, then at Grant. "You said," she began, voice breaking. "You said you were choosing me." Grant's gaze slid away. That was all the answer Mara needed. Mara's face changed in stages. Confusion, horror, understanding, like a woman watching a train approach and realizing she's on the tracks. Her eyes snapped to me. "You set this up," she accused. I didn't deny it. I just breathed. Vivian turned her head slightly, addressing Mara without looking away from Grant. "You thought you were the secret," she said. "You were the habit." Mara's throat bobbed. "You're here to embarrass me," she whispered. "No," Vivian said. "I'm here to make sure you never confuse attention with power again." Grant took a step toward Vivian. "You can't do this," he hissed. Vivian's smile didn't move. "Watch me." I slid a second envelope onto the coffee table and pushed it toward Mara. "What's that?" she asked, voice thin. "Move-out agreement," I said. "Separation papers, simple, clean, no screaming courtroom scene, just reality." Mara's eyes filled. "You can't kick me out on Christmas," she said. "I can," I said, "because this is my house too, and because you made it unsafe for me to live in it." She laughed once, sharp and broken. "Unsafe? You're not a victim." I leaned closer. My voice stayed low. "You brought a man into our marriage who likes squeezing people. That makes you dangerous, whether you mean to be or not." Grant's phone buzzed. He glanced down, and his face tightened again. Vivian noticed. "Board chair?" she asked sweetly. Grant's jaw worked. He didn't answer. Vivian nodded as if she'd gotten confirmation anyway. "They've seen the video," she said. "They've heard from HR. They've heard from spouses. Your little empire runs on reputation, Grant. And tonight it's leaking." Grant's breath came fast. "This is blackmail," he snapped. It's consequence, I said. No one asked you to park in fire lanes. No one asked you to grab my collar. No one asked you to text my wife at midnight from hotel lobbies. Mara flinched at the word hotel. Vivian's eyes drifted toward the hallway. Evan, she said, you promised her one more lesson. Mara turned toward me, suspicious again. What lesson? I looked at her, and the words from the beginning came back, heavy now. You do know he's nothing without his wife, right? I asked. Mara's mouth twisted like she'd heard it before, like it was still a joke. Stop, she said. Stop being dramatic. She grabbed her phone and stormed toward the bedroom. I'm calling my friend, she snapped. I'm leaving. She reached for the bedroom door. I didn't stop her. I just called after her. Calm. You do know he's nothing without his wife, right? Mara laughed, one ugly, disbelieving sound, and yanked the door open. The bedroom light was on. Mara froze in the doorway like she'd stepped into ice. Vivian Crowley's suitcase sat open on my bed, neat, deliberate. A black dress hung over the chair. A pair of heels waited by the dresser. And on the pillow, laid out like a message, was Vivian's wedding ring. Vivian stepped into the hallway behind Mara, calm as ever, and in one smooth motion she walked out of our bedroom as if it had always belonged to her. Not frantic, not screaming, dressed like she planned it. Mara's face lost all color. Grant let out a sound that wasn't a word. Vivian glanced at the ring on the pillow, then at Grant. You really thought you could keep two homes, she said softly. You can barely keep one. Mara turned on me, shaking. How? She started. How is she? I answered without raising my voice. Because you kept meeting him in hotels and thinking you were the only story, I said. But the whole time, there was a bigger one. Vivian leaned against the hallway wall, composed. I needed you here, she told Mara. I needed you to witness his face when control left him, and I needed you to understand you weren't special. Mara's lips trembled. You used me, she whispered. Vivian's eyes were cold. You used your marriage, she said. Consider it even. Grant took a step toward Mara. This isn't, he began. Vivian lifted a hand. He stopped. Like a dog trained by money. I watched him, and something inside me clicked into place. Grant wasn't powerful. He was propped up, by boards, by spouses, by women who cleaned up his messes. Vivian straightened. Evan, she said. I walked back into the living room and opened the front door. Cold air rushed in. Snow swirled under the porch light. Outside on the street, Cal's tow truck waited with its amber lights turning slow circles over the snowbanks. Grant heard it, and his eyes widened. What is that? He demanded. Vivian's voice stayed quiet. Your ride, she said. Grant pushed past Mara and ran for the door. The man who'd strutted through his house like a king now moved like a thief caught in the open. I stepped aside and let him go. Grant hit the porch, slipping once on the icy step, catching himself, then sprinting down the drive. Cal's truck backed up with surgical precision. The hook clanked. The winch whined. Grant's sedan was already on the street, already being lifted like it was nothing. Stop! Grant shouted, arms waving. You can't take my car! Cal leaned out the window. Private property tow, sir, he called, voice bored. Driveway's posted, paperwork's clean. Grant stared, wild. This is insane! Neighbors' porch lights flicked on one by one like a row of spectators. Mrs. Danner's curtain moved. Mara ran out behind Grant, barefoot, slipping on the porch, grabbing the railing. Grant, she cried. Grant, wait! Grant didn't turn. He was chasing his car like it was the last thing he owned. Vivian stepped beside me in the doorway, her shoulder almost touching mine. He wanted to be untouchable, she said. Now he can't even be parked. Grant reached the street as the tow truck began to roll forward. He grabbed the door handle of his own sedan, fingers scraping against cold metal, and yelled like a man being robbed. Cal didn't stop. He just drove. Grant stumbled alongside, shouting, slipping on the slush. His shoes splashed. His breath came in white bursts. Mara stumbled after him, crying now, not for love, not for grief, just for the sudden cliff under her feet. Grant's phone kept buzzing in his pocket as he ran, the screen flashing names he couldn't charm anymore. Board chair, general counsel, Nina Patel. He didn't answer. He couldn't. Every ring was another hand letting go of him. Cal's rear work light washed Grant's face pale, and for a second, he looked back at the house like he expected it to save him. That's when he saw Vivian's wedding ring on my pillow through the bedroom window, catching the tree lights like a tiny flare. His mouth opened, not for a threat this time, but for air. He'd built his whole life on other people staying quiet. Tonight, the whole street was watching, and the only thing louder than the tow winch was the silence he'd earned. Mara reached for him, and he kept moving, like she was smoke alone. I watched them in the headlights. Grant, frantic and small. Mara, chasing a man who was already leaving. Both of them lit up by a truck's rotating amber lights like a warning. Some people call it revenge. I called it balance. I closed the door.